Thanks for joining us. The time is now 7 a.m. I'm Phoebe Murray, and you are watching 15 News Plus, streaming live on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, or our free WMTV 15 News app.
Connected to you on all devices and wherever you stream. This is WMTV 15 News Plus.
Today is July 27th, and we want to give you 5 Wisconsin headlines of the day in 50 seconds. Protests continue across the Madison area as people are demanding accountability in the shooting death of Corey Ruiz by Madison police. This is video from the farmers market on Saturday that closed early. And as this market ended, protesters gathered at the state capitol to call for justice for Ruiz, while market organizers prepared for large crowds. The protest was smaller in size compared to the previous few days. Atwood Fest was also canceled because of the ongoing protests. The festival on Atwood Avenue is less than a half-mile away from where this shooting took place. Hundreds of people and dozens of cars made their way through State Street Saturday night. Drivers honked their horns while some cars played recorded police sirens, and you see there how busy it is. Now, the investigation into Ruiz's death will also include National Civil Rights Attorney Ben Crump. He was hired by the family last week and spoke in Madison over the weekend. That's your first 5 in 50 seconds. For a deeper dive into any of these stories, you can download our free 15 News app or head to our website, WMTV15news.com. And as we take a peek out at the roads here this morning, just after 7:02, we also do want to warn you that we're keeping a close eye on potential protests along the Beltline that we've heard some reports about. So we've been checking in with the Dane County Sheriff's Office here this morning to confirm any of that as a possibility. They say they have sheriff's deputies on standby. We're not seeing any activity right now, but if something changes, we'll be the first to let you know. And the weather department also very busy here at Delaney on this Monday, a first alert day, very humid outside, and you're closely tracking some storms as well.
Yeah, the potential for storms, unfortunately, there is still more uncertainty with these than what I would like to see at this point. So we'll kind of talk through what we are looking at as the day goes on. But yeah, definitely another hot, humid day as we kick off the work week, and we still have those heat alerts in place. Extreme heat warnings in place, as well as heat advisories. Those will take us into this evening. So with forecast highs in the low 90s this afternoon, high humidity levels will bring us heat index values into the triple digits. So make sure you're staying cool, staying hydrated if you plan on spending time outdoors. So this is the air that you can wear, but also you can see it out there. We have dense fog advisories, which will continue until 8. So just about an hour left on those as visibilities are down as low as a quarter of a mile in Lone Rock and Monroe, a half mile in Platteville and Janesville. So if you haven't stepped out the door just yet, make sure to drive with caution as you get out on the roads. You can see some of that in Madison, where it's 81, feeling like 89 with that dew point at 78 degrees. So oppressively humid out there. And as we talked about, still looking at that chance for some storms. I think with the latest data that has come in, the confidence continues to go down with the exact track that these will take right now, looking more easterly. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning there into the UP. So if these were to take more of that southern turn, that would bring us our shot at storms. We still have that level 3 out of 5 risk in place from the Storms Prediction Center. But again, this is just one model run. Some of them are taking this further out to the east, impacting Michigan and missing our area. So this is a pretty conditional threat. We'll have to keep an eye on how things progress with storms to our north. But should they move into our area, best chances would be Madison and areas northeastward, with damaging straight line winds as the main threat. And then those will continue to clear the area. A cold front will pass through, and once it does, we will be left with a cooler, much more comfortable stretch of weather as we head toward the middle of the week. Highs in the mid 80s. Lots of sunshine under high pressure, and also some lower humidity levels as well. So here's the 7-day forecast. 91 degrees for the high this afternoon, mid 80s as we head Tuesday into Wednesday, turning a little bit warmer Thursday with a high of 88. And then we start to see some rain and storm chances returning Friday into Saturday. Not concerned about any severe weather potential at this time, but we'll continue to keep you posted on that. And we will wrap up the week with some cooler temperatures, highs in the low 80s for the weekend.
Well, women are coming together in Madison to mourn the loved ones who have been shot and killed by law enforcement. A memorial held last night comes 4 days after Corey Ruiz was shot and killed on Williamson Street by Madison police. His death sparked protests and memorials across the Dane County area. So take a look here at the scene. Freedom Inc. hosted this event last night from the intersection as well where Ruiz was shot and killed, encouraging people here to leave photos of their loved ones at an altar. And among those at the memorial was Lolo Carter, the aunt of Tony Robinson. In 2015, Robinson was shot and killed by a Madison police officer in the same area. Organizers say they wanted to expose a pattern while also giving people a space to express their grief. WMTV had a crew on scene, but we were asked to leave shortly after the event began. And as we do continue to follow these protests here this morning, we're going to send things back out to our Ellie Pomerleau, who is joining us live from the intersection there this morning, where still a growing number of memorials and people out there this morning, Ellie, on this Monday.
Good morning, Phoebe. Yes, we are coming to you from Williamson Street this morning, just outside of the barricade, where that area from the barricade to the intersection there continues to be blocked off, and we're continuing to see a growing memorial. So earlier this morning, we're actually closer to the intersection. There's a lot more flowers and candles laid there since it began to grow Wednesday night. We're also seeing tents start to come up. There's some porta potties. A statue is now placed outside of the intersection as well. You may be able to make that out in the distance. Emotions continue to remain high here. We were asked to move outside of the barricade that they have set here earlier this morning, so that is where we are standing now. And as this memorial continues to grow, I want to recap some of the demonstrations that happened over the weekend that you may have missed. One of the things that did happen was the Dane County Farmers Market did change their hours this weekend. So let's start there. On Saturday, the farmers market closed early ahead of some anticipated protests. Organizers saying that they are mourning with the community and business cannot go on as usual. Crowds, they still came out to the Capitol Square for the market despite short hours, but several vendor spots were empty. And then as the market came to an end, protesters gathered at the Capitol Square to again call for justice for Ruiz. While market organizers had prepared for a large crowd, the protest was smaller than some of the others that were held in prior days, but activists still showed up after that. And then turning to Saturday night, protesters gathered here again on Williamson Street for a glow in the dark march. So attendees who came, they were encouraged to wear all black and to bring glow sticks and flashlights. And then later into the night, hundreds of people and dozens of vehicles made their way through State Street. Now, drivers who were on State Street, they honked their horn. Some of the cars, they even recorded police sirens, and people who are marching alongside the vehicles, they were chanting as well. So that's some of the demonstrations that happened here over the weekend. Again, people still remain in that area on Williamson Street this morning, that memorial continuing to grow. For now, reporting live in Madison, Ellie Pomerleau for 15 News.
All right, Ellie, thank you for that live report here on this Monday morning. And we do want to make you aware of some street closures here where Ellie is standing due to this growing vigil there because of the public gathering. Demonstrators, they've actually blocked off that spot where Ruiz was shot and killed on Williamson Street. The city has put up a signed detour route, which you can see on this map, for people to follow. Now, there's no new update regarding the investigation into Ruiz's death. That's according to Madison Police Chief John Patterson. The city has been releasing daily updates as these protests continue. And last night, in a statement, the chief said in part, quote, "I remain in daily contact with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation as the investigation progresses." He goes on to say that it remains an active investigation, and any new updates he will pass along as this investigation continues. There's also been a huge debate about body cameras, as many protesters are calling for that footage of the incident to be released. But Madison police officers, they do not wear body cameras. Previously, the police department has requested money to equip officers with body cams, even conducting a pilot program back in 2024 with officers in the North District. But the Madison Common Council rejected that proposal. MPD is one of the few large police departments in the state that does not use body-worn cameras. When we spoke with Chief Patterson earlier this year, he said a body camera program was one of his top priorities. Still to come here on 15 News Plus. Wisconsin 360. Some of the top stories out of the Capitol, including an explosion in Cedarburg that tore through a shed. What we know about the two people inside at the time when we come back. Good Monday morning from Madison. I'm Phoebe Murray. Here's a check of the top stories that we are following, and we do want to walk you through what led up to this deadly Madison police shooting from last Wednesday. The Madison Police Department says the shooting happened after officers were called to the Marquette neighborhood for a man stealing bicycles and checking car doors. That man was later identified as Corey Ruiz. And this is not the first time he's dealt with law enforcement. Ruiz has 40 misdemeanor and felony convictions dating back from 2009 to last year. He's been charged with serious crimes, including robbery by force, strangulation, and battery of a public safety worker. But his daughter says his criminal history doesn't define him.
I wish he could tell me how much he loves me one more time. He tried to do his best for me and his family.
His 13-year-old daughter spoke last Friday as part of a press conference alongside Ben Crump, the national civil rights attorney who will be representing the family in this case. We also heard from Corey Ruiz's family, who spoke publicly on Friday for the first time since Ruiz was shot and killed. In a press conference, Corey's family called for justice, saying the use of force against Ruiz was not justified, and Ruiz's mother and sisters all shared their memories of Ruiz and their horror about how he died. Again, his 13-year-old daughter asking people to remember Ruiz as a human being.
People, whoever is saying, oh, but he was a criminal. So what? He had a family. He had me. So put yourself in my shoes. What would you do knowing you just turned 13 last month and that you're about to go into a whole new level of school, knowing that your dad is dead?
Again, Ruiz's lawyer, Ben Crump, is asking the Dane County District Attorney to charge police involved in this shooting. He also called Ruiz's death a, quote, execution. Another news of day, the couple at the center of multiple hazmat investigations across Dane and Rock counties are scheduled to appear in court today for a pre-trial conference. Paul Van Dyne and Andrew Whitaker are charged with plotting to poison women. Van Dyne previously dated with cyanide and other deadly toxins, slipping them into water bottles and car vents last year. One woman did end up in the hospital, and FBI agents reported getting sick during these hazmat investigations. Both Whitaker and Van Dyne are scheduled to be in Dane County Court at 1 p.m. Two people were badly hurt after an explosion tore through a shed in Cedarburg over the weekend. According to the Ozaukee County Sheriff's Office, the two people involved have been identified as a police lieutenant with the Jackson Police Department and his father. Officials say the two suffered severe burns after this explosion that happened Saturday. As fire crews worked to put out the flames, the roof of the structure caved in. The two were taken to a Milwaukee hospital where they remain in critical condition. The cause of this fire is still under investigation. Well, Well, each weekday, be sure to tune into Wisconsin 360 as a daily live stream at 9 a.m. where we take a look at stories making headlines from markets all across the state, including developing stories here at 15 News, including those involved with that deadly Madison police shooting. Our Ellie Pomerleau, as you heard there, was live for us from the vigil this morning, and any new updates we'll bring to you both on air and online. Those are the top headlines from the capital city. For 15 News, I'm Phoebe Murray.
Add WMTV 15 News to your Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Google TV today and never miss a moment of 15 News Plus.